This very informed man isn't always aware when he's in his cave.
I was about to head off for work, and Dick said, "You want to be in on this video?" And I thought,
Man cave.
Just
He
man
said,
cave.
What's man cave?
"Yeah, what are you talking about?" And I thought, "Oh, I don't really do that." And she says, "What do you mean? You do it all the time."
Is that when you allow him to be in there, don't interrupt him too much or say, "Hey, when you're ready, can I talk?" When he comes out, he'll tend to be in a little better mood.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fascinating Womanhood channel, where we talk about everything that has to do with femininity and building strong, long-lasting, loving relationships. I am Cherry Lynn, and I'm here with my parents, Dixie, Evelyn Forsyth, and Dr. Robert Forsyth. Hi.
Hi.
We are excited to have Dad here today to bring a male perspective, because we are talking about the man cave, also known as the mantuary. What were the other ones you called it? Manland.
And online there are places that will actually turn a part of your home into a manland for up to $10,000.
Wow.
Is that all?
Can you guys talk a little bit about not only what it is, but what does it have to do with Fascinating Womanhood? Because I don't believe it is in any of your books.
It was originally, that phrase, I believe, was coined in the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was really good because it describes a physical place, like Bob's just said, but more often a mental space where men go in their minds to figure things out or to think about things. When you interrupt them, sometimes they almost act like you kind of come into a sleeping bear in a cave.
Right.
You've interrupted something. That's why we call it a cave.
It's a place. It's a place that they go to almost kind of escape.
Yes.
Or is it a stress-related place that they go, or both?
I think you could say it's maybe a physical place, but in some ways it's more of a mental space. It's an escape place.
Ricky, you want some more coffee? Are your eggs all right, dear?
I think men tend to separate thoughts and feelings. In fact, sometimes don't even like to connect them, at least easily, because men are very target oriented. And when they're trying to go after a target or accomplish something, you don't like to get distracted. I mean, separating thoughts and feelings it's very task oriented. I think from a guy's point of view, it's simpler that way.
I suspect that the physical man cave that we've heard about is in response to men feeling interrupted so much by other people, including their women, their wives, their children, when they're in their mental space, and they can actually physically go in there and maybe even shut the door.
It's easier to disconnect.
I think too, this could be a million different things. I know men that go away. They leave their house when they're needing that man cave time, because not everyone has that physical space in their home. So I think this is great that we're talking about this today. And it sounds like what we're going to do is talk about what it really is, which you kind of already did, but also what we as women need to know about the man cave, because I think a lot of us just think about it like you just said, oh, well, it's a place he goes to escape. But there are some things that I think are very helpful that you guys have come up with as far as how to, I don't want to say handle, because that sounds like you're wanting to control, but how to respond to him when he is in the man cave and what to understand about his frame of mind when he's there. So we're going to talk about that today.
Well, when a man, let's say there's a dedicated room in your house for him to go, when he's in there because he's gone in there. But most of the time, like, we don't have a dedicated man room in our house. And yet Bob often goes into his man cave. It's in his mind. So how do we know when they're in there? Because sometimes we think, we just say their name and we think that they're with us, but they're actually not. So it's partly to understand them better when they're in there and what to do and when not to kind of insist on interrupting them.
Understanding that can make a difference, I think.
We've kind of identified what it kind of looks like. It could be so many different things, but the the thing I'm hearing that they have in common is that he's just mentally gone.
More coffee, Ricky, darling. Sugar, dear. Jam on your toast, sweetheart.
He's escaping. Whether that be he's on his phone, whether he's in an actual room, whether he leaves, whether he just maybe spaces out a little bit, at least to you, that's how it looks. But why is he going in there? We talked a little bit about stress. We talked a little bit about maybe target. He's on a target and he's trying to accomplish something. What are some other reasons why he might be going there?
I suppose it's maybe a stress management approach too. Sometimes things can get overwhelming, and there's so many things going on. It's a way of simplifying. And
Don't they figure things out in there?
yeah, I think I tend to process more mentally. Dixie always is processing verbally. And sometimes when something happens, I've got to think about it. I got to decide, let's see, what's going on here? And I sort it out. And then it's easier for me to talk about it. Whereas for her, she actually processes it. Yeah, well, yeah, it's instant. She's already connected. And I'm still trying to connect some of this stuff up.
Okay.
My thoughts, my feelings. In a way, thoughts and feelings for me is almost a task. I have to intentionally do it rather than it just comes automatically. For Dixie, it's there immediately. It's not something that she has to think about.
Well, and you're a psychologist, so you probably are much more aware than most men about a lot of these things. So when I hear you talking about it, and then I think about, your more average guy that is not at all aware of any of this.
Right.
It makes me realize he might even just need this as a mental break.
Right.
He doesn't even really realize it. And then you come and you interrupt him and he's
what are you doing? What's going on?
I think that's why the cave analogy is used, because like bears go in there to hibernate, and if you interrupt them when they're sleeping or hibernating, they can get really angry.
Yes.
And in a case of more annoyed, and you think, what did I do?
Yeah, you can take it personally as though it's more just a survival. It's almost a survival reaction in a way. When I talk to men and women, I realize that they tend to look at things quite differently. And that's why I think sometimes women say, what's with men? I don't get it. And the men are saying to me, what's with the women? I don't, what's wrong with them? And really, I've noticed sometimes when I talk to a couple, if they're coming from different directions. And when I start to help translate from one to the other, the guys will go, oh yeah, you're right. And the women go, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't understand that. So it's just a basic difference in the way we look at things, in a sense, in a way that we're wired. We say men are wired more front to back, which makes them visual and action oriented. Women more side to side, which makes them more connecting everything all the time and quickly and easily. And guys don't do that quite so quickly or easily. And it helps you if you understand that.
So what do you do when you do need him or you need to talk to him? We're talking about interrupting him now. So what do you do if he snaps at you? How do you respond?
Well, first, it's good to understand why he has snapped, especially if you think, what happened? I just asked him a question.
Does he hate me?
Yeah. Why is he mad at me? And he may not be mad at you at all.
No.
Right.
So what you do is you understand it first. And then a better approach that I've discovered, when you can see, once you've learned to see, I think he's in there, is to say something to him like, I need to talk to you, or I need to ask you a question. Is this a good time? And to ask him, because I found, like some of you have found, that sometimes he'll be in there and I'll say, Bob, and he'll say, what? I can tell.
You are back there, aren't you?
He heard me but didn't really hear me. And so that's a clue to me he's in there.
Do you think that he might be doing that even when something's going on? Like, let's say dinner time, could he be in his cave even when he's eating dinner, like a simple task like that?
Mhm. Oh yeah.
He's probably not going to be.
Probably.
He's not going to be even.
I'm just gonna.
This very informed man isn't always aware when he's in his cave.
Yeah, I think I said that I was about to head off for work, and Dick said, "You want to be in on this video?" And I thought,
He said the man cave.
She's
He
man
said,
cave.
What's man cave?
yeah, what are you talking about? You know, like, and I thought, oh, I don't really do that. And she says, what do you mean? You do it all the time. And I think I'm not aware of doing it. It's automatic enough, or it's maybe survival enough that I don't really think about it, and I just disconnect.
It sounds like your trip to the man cave could be, a long trip, and it could be a quick come and go trip.
Mhm.
I think what is interesting about talking about this today is I always used to think of the man cave as a place that you escaped for a very long period of time.
Not necessarily.
But what I'm hearing is that it can happen in and out all day long.
Yeah.
When Bob told me
Yeah,
that
yeah.
when he was deciding whether to ask me to marry him or not, he had to go over things in his mind like, I have no money, how will I do this? And that was in and out for probably, I don't know, weeks. I don't know, because
Yeah, sometimes it was sort of an inner battle. I think I was probably battling, and in a way, sometimes that's what a man is doing. He's battling inside of different perspectives and different thoughts and ideas and feelings, and they're all kind of, how do we get all this herd of stuff going in the same direction? You
and
know?
women are like, just say it. Just
Yeah.
talk.
I've had women say to me, well, I asked him how he felt, and he kind of had this blank look on his face, like, feel, I don't know. And then the next day he said, I was really angry. And she said, what took so long? Why didn't you just say it? Well, in a way, because
because it's foreign to us, right?
yeah, well, because we disconnect so easily, connecting is more of a conscious, or it's almost like a task that we have to do and then be able to talk about it. So I think it's maybe just understanding that a little bit.
So you got to let your bear go in his cave. He needs it.
He'll be in there whether you let him or not. And it's
True.
whether he attacks you if you try to interrupt him. And I don't mean physically attacks, but emotionally.
Snap. Yeah, you might
Like
snap.
kind of snap
What
at
if,
you.
what if he's spending a lot of time in there and you're starting to get your feelings hurt?
Define a lot of time. I mean, it's
Like I've heard this so many times. Women will say things like, my husband constantly just isn't listening to me and he's tuning me out. And I always think my immediate thought to that is, he must be really stressed or something. But it sounds like the man cave could possibly be a part of why a man might be tuning you out a little bit.
sometimes we need it may take a half an hour for us to emotionally verbalize our feelings. And that may involve saying the same thing in different ways several times. And then he may tune out because I got it, I heard it. Yeah, why are you keep going?
I heard what you said, and now
it's like
why are we
this.
going over and over
I
and
get
over
it.
the same thing?
So that may be part of it. It's not so much. And
I get it. I got it.
I know it's kind of insensitive, but they don't realize they're doing that either.
Right. And then she'll keep talking and explaining from different points of view and different feelings. It's like, okay,
Then he picks up the phone.
I already got it. I already got it.
I feel
You're
tuned out.
upset. Okay, you're upset. So now what do we do? And so in a sense, it's a man's weak area and probably a woman's strong area. And it's kind of clashing at those moments where verbal processing and just kind of, okay, I got this is.
When really the woman may have not just wanted him to get it. She wanted empathy. She may have wanted someone to say, oh, that must have been terrible.
Or you just maybe wanted to tell him something that's going on and he just didn't hear any of it. And then the next day he says, well, I didn't know we were doing this. And then she says, well, I told you that the other day. Is it because he
thinks he got it? He thinks he got it, but he isn't really paying attention, or he isn't really he isn't really thinking about it in the same way. It's like, okay, yeah, I got, because if she's saying something, I think, okay, so what does she want me to do about this? Because again, I often go to the bottom line, or it's like,
Yeah.
okay, what are we going to do? What do you want to do?
So in those cases, it is a good idea, if you have that happen to you, to maybe say from the outset, I need to talk to you. Do you have some time to talk to me? I need your undivided attention. And if he gives it, just say, I just need you to listen to me. I need.
Ask like that.
He tends
I
to want to
think,
solve it.
okay, all right. Okay, now I know what I need to do. And that makes it a little easier for me.
But sometimes
Yeah.
he thinks I want him to solve it for me, when really what I want is sympathy or empathy.
Okay.
That I
Right.
don't want a solution. I want you to say, oh, that's terrible. How could you stand that? Or something like that.
Mhm.
So tell him. And we're so used to hinting and having assuming other people are going to get it, that we kind of resist saying, well, I have to say it. Yeah, do him a favor. It'll be much easier. And then he can look at empathizing with you as a task as well.
No, this is great. So I just have one last question.
Okay.
What about women? Do women have caves? Do they go into caves? Or how is this different from men and women?
Is that a she cave?
Well, what I've noticed, she caves, the whole, trend behind that seems to be more of a place where women just go to relax. And to me, I mean, if you have that space, great, but that sounds very different than what the man cave is, even though the man cave may result in some relaxation in a sense, but it doesn't sound like they're very similar now that we've broken all this down.
It's a little different, I think.
Women, especially some personality types, especially introverts, like certain alone time where they might want to be able to do art or read or draw or any of those things, or even play music, and just kind of relaxing. But that's different than mentally processing. So
do you have a place that you go, Mom? Because we kind of talked about Dad. He's kind of got more of like a phone cave a little bit. Do you have a it's like he gets on his phone when he gets it. What about you? Do you have a place that no, you don't?
no.
I didn't know your art, you did that somewhere.
I do art, but I do it in the kitchen because I don't really have an art room, and I cook, and obviously in the kitchen. Probably be the kitchen, but I don't have a dedicated room for me. But most people don't. Most people don't have the space for it.
I'll sometimes come in and she's painting on a clock, and that's a great place for her. It's kind of a little special creative place that she loves to be. But then if I come in, she's so relationship oriented, she'll stop that and interact if I say something. So, oh, hey, that's beautiful, or that I love the way you're doing that.
Well, even if you want to talk about something else, the relationship is always first.
Yeah.
I think the whole point of talking about it with men and women is I think a lot of women kind of a big light bulb falls into place when they can see, okay, this is how he responds to stress, or this is how he manages stress, and this is how I do it. And I need to recognize both and be able to see both. You can recognize it in yourself, obviously what's going on with you, but understanding, oh, well, this is what I do for stress, and this is what he does for stress, I think is really helpful for a lot of our ladies.
Yeah, and it is just stress. Sometimes it's figuring something out.
Yeah.
Like, how am I gonna manage this, and this all together, and figuring out how to take a vacation, but getting off of work. It isn't always a stressor as much as a task that you need to figure out. They usually do that in their heads. Well, one last thing I forgot is that when you allow him to be in there, don't interrupt him too much, or say, hey, when you're ready, can I talk? When he comes out, he'll tend to be in a little better mood and be a little more pleasant.
Just like a sleeping bear.
That's right. Just like the hibernating bear.
And then give him something to eat.
Okay, well, this has been really helpful. I think it's great to know about this subject because it isn't something, like I said earlier, is really outlined in your book, but I do think it's something that we constantly bring up in conversation when we're talking to a lot of our ladies. So it's really helpful to have this, and thank you both for explaining it. Thank you both again so much for being here, and thank you everyone for watching. We have tons of books that I'm attaching to this video that you need to check out. All of the links will be below, as well as all the places you can find us on social media. We're very active on there. We're here every week, so don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you know every week when we have a new video released. And we'll see you next time. Bye.